Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ofebia Ofe and I'm here with a different type of video today. I am at the beautiful Delights Ghanaian Cuisine located right here in Houston, Texas, and I have a special guest with me today. Stay tuned for more and you will get to meet my special guest visiting from Ghana. He's back in Houston. He's lived in Houston before, but he relocated to Ghana not too long ago. If you like this video, please do like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to share. So I do have this special guest with me by the name of Mr. Jermaine Nkrumah. He is the CEO and founder of the DNT network, which is Diaspora Network Television. And he also hosts Diaspora Weekly on the DNT. So I'm just gonna let him tell us a little bit about himself and what he does, and we're just gonna dive into deeper conversation along the way.
All right. Well, Jermaine Nkrumah, as you just said, founder, CEO of Diaspora Weekly, and actually Diaspora Network Television, DNT. We are focused on diaspora reintegration to the continent. As you can see, when you look around here, beautiful restaurant, and that's just one out of over 2 million, almost 3 million Ghanaians who live outside the shores of Ghana. Add Nigerians who live outside, Zambians, Cameroonians, the number of Africans who live outside the continent, and the resources that they've been able to gather. We believe that if the countries in Africa were to effectively mobilize these citizens and their resources to come back, not necessarily come back home, but look back and re-engage, reinvest in the continent, we can literally change the continent overnight. So that's what we stand for, Diaspora Network Television. And also, we can't do that without African unity. We cannot go with our individual selves. The continent must unite. We're not talking about Africa becoming one country, but at some point we have to forge some kind of unity so that we're doing a lot of things economically, politically, and everything with one voice. And so that's what Diaspora Network Television seeks to, the agenda that we seek to push.
That is absolutely amazing because definitely for people in the diaspora, there's no doubt that a lot of African Americans or even Ghanaians within their homes abroad, at some point they know they would like to go back and reinvest in the country, or just go back and connect back with the country. And recently it's just been a big wave of change where before, for example, I'm a Ghanaian as well, and I knew that at a certain point my parents would go back to Ghana, but being born here, I never really thought we would get to the point at such a young age where we are willing to go back and actually do business and invest back into Ghana. It's happening. A lot of people are moving back. How would you say that transition has been for you, relocating back to Ghana?
Yeah, okay, that's a very good question. First and foremost, it's very difficult to fully relocate. Okay, let me just take you on a short journey. When you first arrive here, so I'll take United States because that's what I know. Most of us got here in our 20s. All right. So you come here, your first few years you're trying to survive, and then once you've gotten your footings right, you want to get your papers straight so that you're at least legal. Now, after you've done that, then you start to think about school. I mean, very few people come here without the idea of school crossing their mind. And so, and the reason for that, even if you didn't plan on coming to school, you come here and you're working manual jobs, right? You see, it becomes very obvious to you that, hey, with a college degree, I can make more. So you start to go to school. So once you get the school thing out of the way, and most of us don't really completely get it out of the way, you know, it kind of, the transition kind of merges up because you start college, before you know it, there's a good-looking young lady come through your path, and before you know it, you're married, okay? And so you marry, what's next? Children, okay? And so the children come along, no matter how you feel about returning to your country, it is very hard to leave young children to go back home. So you say, oh, let me wait a little bit. Well, when they get to 8, 9, they're still young, you can't leave them. When they get into their teen years, that's when they need you the most, because they can go either way. They can go the good way or the bad way, depending on whether you're present or not. And so you say, okay, let me wait. Okay, now you wait, and from teens to college. College in America is very expensive, and so you're gonna have to work to pay for it, help your children pay for it and everything. So finally, the most reasonable time that you can really say, okay, yeah, I've done raising my kids, so let me go back. Well, you cannot, you and your wife just up and go. One of you have to go first, test the waters and make sure that things are right before the other one follows. But 9 times out of 10, whatever ideas and resources that you return, things don't necessarily turn out the same way. So you find that the struggle is a little bit more extended. So now the kids are grown and they're living their life. They have their jobs and everything. So most likely you probably bought a house. Now your wife is living at home by herself. So when you look at this this journey, there's never a really good time to relocate. But at some point you have to force it in. And so some of us have done that, and there's a huge price to pay at the family level sometimes, not to mention the economic struggle and reintegration. So it's never easy. And it's that difficulty is even compounded when the locals many times also tend to make things more difficult for you than they ordinarily make it for other people. When you go back home and you hire people, I always say that I've been lucky. I have very good staff, but I can't say that about a lot of people. You know, your staff, the way they work and everything, the way they react to your instructions and everything, it's not the same as they would if a white man employed them or a Chinese man employed them. So it is not an easy thing to relocate, and that's why a lot of people don't go back. At the same time, I also want to implore people to make that difficult decision. Because no matter how difficult this, what I just explained to you, when we were getting on a plane to come to America, we had no idea what this place looked like. Some of us didn't even know where we were going to lay our head the first night. You see what I'm saying? But we took that risk. Yes, we were younger. Took that risk. Some of us even got here with $20 in our pocket and nowhere to call home. But we were happy to take that risk. So how compare that risk to the risk that we now see? Oh, when I'm going home, the roads are bad, the lights don't work, and all that. Really? Is that risk compared to the risk you took when you were coming here the first time? You see what I'm saying? So anything worthwhile that you're going to do in life, you have to take a risk. And so I encourage people to, no matter what the downsides are, there's also some pretty good upsides. So they should make the journey to come back home.
I know I've been to Ghana
You've done it
all my life, whether as a vacation, even living there for a couple of years. And I know it's always been part of the bigger plan. And like you said, it just at some point, sometimes it does get a bit more complicated when you kind of like finish school, get married, settle down with kids. And I take pride in taking vacations to Ghana.
It's beautiful.
It's just a beautiful country.
I mean,
It's for me, I guess most of the frustrations or concerns, it doesn't amount to the amount of stress that sometimes we deal with in the diaspora. I mean, we deal with a whole lot of issues, and to make it worse, we go home and we're tired. We've been working all day. We just go to sleep and wake up with a whole new
that's pretty much
attitude.
it.
That's pretty much it. But in Ghana, you find a sense of peace. At the end of the craziest day, you still find peace. 'Cause people are just genuinely happy, and I think it's time.
It really is.
I think it's time.
It really is. And I mean, if you're gonna wait till everything is done right before you go, you will never go.
Right.
You will never go. The one guy told me, he said, okay, those of us who were born and raised there, and even our offspring, such as yourself, if we keep saying, no, the time is not right, we want to wait until so and so years before, I want to wait for. By the time you get home, you're going to buy land in your own country from a Chinese guy. Because see, when they are coming, Chinese, Italians, Americans,
They're already
they
there.
are
They are
coming
already
in droves.
there.
The last time we went home, how many Ghanaians were on the flight versus how many whites, Chinese were on the flight?
And this is as far back as 2020. So
There you
very
go.
recent.
There you go.
Very, very recent.
So they are coming. And by the way, this is what's interesting. Potholes. You were born in potholes, right? Water shortage. You were born into water shortage. All the things you complain about, you were born into them. So you're familiar with them, right? The white guy that sees opportunity coming back home, he wasn't born into potholes. He wasn't born into, but he sees opportunity. So how come you cannot?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that a lot of the things that we point to, we need to just basically go and help fix them. Now, when you go and you try to do something, there are going to be impediments. Don't get me wrong about that. But you see, that's where your creativity comes in. People are down on the ground making it happen.
Right.
So everybody can.
So, do you still feel a strong sense of belief that Pan-Africanism is alive today?
I do. Let me tell you, I use myself as an example, all right? So when I got married back in 1990, and I told my friend that, oh, I'm gonna marry this Nigerian girl, the first thing out of his mouth was, are you crazy? Is what I'm saying. Now, granted, he came to live with us over a weekend, and when I was taking him to the airport, he said, oh, your wife is nice, so does she have a sister? I said, are you crazy? But take that snapshot in 1990, then fast forward 30, 31 years later, right? Now, it's not a novelty for a Ghanaian to marry a Sudanese in Africa. I mean, here in America.
Right.
My daughter is married a Sierra Leonean. And nobody even blinks an eyelid about it. You're married to
An African American.
You see, so gone are the days when, and you see, marriage is one of the most important decisions because this is a person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And so, if that decision, the fact that the person is from a different country did not matter to you and you took that plunge, I'm not so sure that it's not, you're going to have a problem doing business with a Nigerian or a Cameroonian or someone from Zimbabwe. And so to that, when you look at where we've traveled, this trajectory, I think Pan-Africanism is really moving in the right direction. We just got to complete the job. We have to finish the job and quit this business of Oh, Ghana flag. Yeah, our flag looks nice and everything. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're not going to pay your bills with the flag. When the policemen pulled you over in Houston, do you think they can look at you and say, "Oh, that's a Ghanaian girl"?
No.
No,
It's,
she's a black.
we're all
Exactly.
black. We're just,
So that's what matters. I think we need to look at our commonality, which is about 90% of what defines us. Our differences are just like 10%.
so let's talk a little bit about that. So there, over time, I would say I've grown to mature to a different level where I can see the divide, but at the same time not see the divide. So the divide between Africans and African Americans. We do hear about it every now and then.
Yeah.
It's on social media as well. So we know that there's some sort of divide, but at the same time, I understand African Americans very well. They tend to understand me very well. And we understand we're the same people. We might have different actions, but their story is slightly different, as well as the African story. Both experienced a very traumatizing time within our ancestry and our generation, and some even still current till today. And I think the diaspora is also part of bridging that gap. We really want to see that gap bridged because it's a common misunderstanding, because at the end of the day, we really are the same people.
You see, what I ended my statement the last time around with is that we are truly 90% similar, but 10% different. But the human in us, I don't know what it does, but somehow we find ourselves focusing more on the 10%. Look, you have siblings, right? Even within one family, same mom, same dad. Don't you have differences?
Yes.
Oh, this one, I think that's mommy's favorite, or this daddy's favorite, right? And if you focus on that alone, it can create a huge mess,
Right.
which in some families it does. So even if families can find differences between themselves, what makes you think we as a people, if we really look hard at it, we're not going to find those differences? Yeah, we will find those differences. But at the end of the day, we just need to focus that what defines us is how the continent is faring. This statement, "you are where you're from," that's the most profound statement. You are where you're from. Look, you can have, let's say, who's a successful African athlete now? You can be hanging out with your friends, African Americans, you're all millionaires, hanging out in nice mansions and everything. But when they show something on the Africa on CNN with kids with flies all over their face, guess what? I don't care. Your millions don't mean that much at that time. That's you they're showing on that station. You see what I'm saying? So no matter how successful we get over here, until that continent is fixed, we're always going to face those disrespects. We're going to face intimidation and everything. So it's incumbent on all of us to fix that continent. The only way we can do that is actually unite, see each other as brother and sister. I don't even know what's difficult about that, to be honest with you. If I see you, I've seen a sister, that's it. I don't want to know what flag you salute or what, it doesn't matter to me. And that's what DNT is trying to push, Diaspora Network Television. We're really, really serious about that. And I think now it's moving in the right direction. We just have to keep going, keep going, keep going.
Okay. Well, I know social media is playing a major role in spreading the positive image of Africa. There are so many great YouTubers really promoting Africa on the bright side, the Africa many don't see. And it's real. I've been there, so it's real. very nice, very peaceful, as I mentioned before, and filled with amazing people, talented people, skilled people. I know I've watched a couple of your vlogs on YouTube, and I know you had an interview with Dr. Quao, and there's a lot of talk about the brain drain. How has that brain drain affected us as a continent?
Not at all. Brain drain has not done anything. Let me tell first and foremost, the idea of brain drain suggests that those who were left at home didn't have any brains. You got some smart people on the continent who never left.
Right.
Okay, so brain drain, and majority of the time, it's not PhDs that were leaving the continent. It's not college grads that were leaving the continent. It was people like me who finished high school and said we're going to. So majority of us, and even if a person finished the first degree before they left, they came and got more. They did their masters, got their PhD. So right now the operative word is actually brain gain. If you look at cumulatively the human capacity level that left Africa, and you compare it to the human capacity level that's coming back to Africa, I don't even know how you can talk about brain drain. It's more of a brain gain than anything. And then, not to mention, I want to stress this, there were folks who didn't leave, who didn't set foot out of the continent, who are sharp as nails. I've seen them myself. I've seen a kid who lives in a small one-room apartment with a desktop. We're doing a movie in 2012. We wanted to blow up a vehicle. We took it to him. He blew out that vehicle. It looked so real, the same type of thing that you see on a soundstage in Hollywood. So don't tell me about brain drain. We let some sharp brains on the continent. We've acquired more. We need to go back and add to it. And if we allow ourselves to really work together, the sharp brains that were left and those who came and got more and add to it, are you kidding me? Africa can rule the world. I have no doubt.
Jermaine, let me say this. So, with those going back to Africa with the skills, I know sometimes with those in Africa at the moment, those in Ghana, Nigeria, a lot of times they have this perception of the diaspora coming in with this we already know it all attitude. We know what we're doing, and there tends to be a clash. How do we input our ideas? Not in the way to offend, but whenever you address it.
You say you're too new?
Yeah, too new.
Okay. And this thing comes up, this subject comes up frequently. Folks at home meet diasporans every day, interact with them normally, and everything is fine. Let them meet one person who throws his weight around. Oh, diaspora, that's how they are. Really? 1 out of maybe 10 or 1 out of 20, and you're going to use that to define all of us? That's really what's happening, because for every one diasporan who throws his weight around, there are about 10 who go back and just merge, blend easily. We really need to be real with ourselves. We just really need to be with us, because like you rightly said, when I come, if I left Ghana at 25 and I live here for 30 years, that 25, you can take about 5 or 6 years out of it, because at that time I didn't know anything, right? So my exposure to Ghana is really about 19, 20 years versus exposure to the United States for 30 years. When I come back, really, what do you expect from me? I think I've caught on to the systems here more than in Ghana. So when I come and I'm reacting to certain stimuli, it's not as if I'm throwing my weight around. That's what I am. I am used to the lane, everybody driving in the lane. That's what I've seen for 30 years. So you want to tell me if I come and somebody's doing this, I shouldn't say anything? I mean, that's just natural. And
That's the
lastly,
thing. There's the thing that diasporans complain too much.
yeah, but that's there's a reason why they rule those lines on the road. If they wanted everybody to drive everywhere, they wouldn't spend the money to put those markers on the road, right? So the fact that they put those markers on the road means everybody should stay within their lane. And if you don't stay in your lane and somebody complains, you say, "Oh, you're too low." How? I don't get that part. And then there is this. I don't think you grew up in a village in Ghana. You were born here, right? Okay. So I have a bit of village experience where, you know, you sit under the tree, you play dummy and owari and all that, and you know, you buchia. I don't even think you don't know. You don't know buchia.
What is buchia? Tell us.
Buchia. Have you seen it's usually three clay structures. 1, 2, 3, and they put firewood in between the three of the three holes and light the fire, and then they cook on it.
Oh, okay.
You've seen it?
I've seen that.
Yes, yes. It's called buchia.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
I'm learning something, guys.
Now, if you live in a village and you know all these things, that's where you live, and then you move and you come to live in Accra or Kumasi. Now you're using microwave, you're using stove, you're using air conditioning. You're no longer sitting under the tree and you're watching TV with remote and all that stuff. When you go back to your village, you're a different person.
Right.
Do the villagers tell you, "Oh, what's wrong?" They don't do that. They just do. So why is it that they do it to us, but they wouldn't do it to the guy who left the village to go to Accra or Kumasi and come back? I don't get that part. So, I mean, we just have to be realistic about these things.
Yeah. So speaking of the reality, like I said, relocating to Ghana is on a lot of minds. At least I'm starting to see a lot of that in the YouTube space and the social media space. There are lots of people that are really interested in moving back home. Now, for those that don't have a connection to Ghana, specifically they're from the Caribbean or from the United States, with no immediate family, what advice do you have for them as far as, even if the idea crosses your mind, that I want to go to Africa? That's what I hear a lot. A lot of times is, I really want to go to Africa, but they don't know where to start.
Okay, very good. The good news is, first and foremost, let me take a moment, okay? I sip this Sobolo.
How is it, by the way? I tried some. It's really good. I love it. I've actually had this in Ghana before.
If you're in Houston, what's this place called?
Delight's Ghanaian
Cuisine. It's located at Piping Rock and Highway 6 on the west part of Houston. Stop by there. This Sobolo, I'll tell you what, it needs to be placed in a competition.
It's really good. It's really good. So I will leave the description and the phone number down below.
I know the number. Would you be surprised I know the number?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, 281-995-1958.
Way to go. He's truly connected, man.
Yeah. So anyway, if you are you're an African American and you want to go to, let's include the Caribbeans, the Brazilians and all that. Okay. You want to go back home. The good news is you now have the internet. Visit Ghana.com. You go there, you can find everything you want to know. Or simply dial Google Beyond the Return. It'll take you to websites where you can find everything you need to know for tourism. Now they have some stuff for business and everything. But for business, if you're looking to invest, I would advise that you get someone you know here that you trust to be your gateway into the continent, whichever country you choose to. Why is that important? Because what we mentioned earlier, tendencies are different. African American, our mannerism, the way we look at things and everything. If you're not familiar with the way things are done, you can misread a lot of, especially when you've heard, hey, as for Ghana, they will steal your money or they will do this. So that is a negative thing that's planted. So the moment somebody does something small, hey, he's trying that, right? You see what I'm saying? But the reason you need somebody to lead you into that is that person can explain to you, oh, that's cool. Oh, you be careful here, but that's cool. They'll pretty much show you the way. But whatever ideas that you have, I would suggest that you take a couple of trips, tourism visits, go look around, have fun, but have your eyes wide open.
That is so important.
I
mean, I would love to live in Ghana, but I won't lie, I'm not there yet. But I wish it could happen like yesterday. But the reality, you just have to have things.
You see,
so I vacation a lot in Ghana, and it's well worth it.
Recently, somebody sent me this video, and it was a Chinese young lady who got her first degree, and she was looking for something to do, and she said, let me go to Ghana. She came to Ghana with nothing. Now she's a millionaire. Of course, it's a rare situation. But if a Chinese young lady who could barely point where Ghana is on the map could come there and make it happen. Now, granted, as I mentioned earlier, a Chinese woman in Ghana will get certain breaks that you may not get. Right. That's the unfortunate part.
That is
we need
very
to work on it.
We
need to work on it
that's something we would have to work on. Because I have definitely faced those kind of. I've been in situations where I'm in Ghana and I could be out and it's like the white guy would get service first.
That's easy. And when you see that, don't let it go. Here's why. Over time, centuries, I mean, more like decades, we've been socialized that the Caucasian is better. Anyone with a lighter skin is better. That thing is powerful. Sometimes we do things without even thinking about it. I'm guilty about it sometimes. Now, I'm conscious, so I'm rarely guilty. But for those who haven't really had time to think about it, they do things without thinking. How many times have you heard somebody say, oh, man, I met this beautiful girl, so beautiful, just go, right? You haven't heard that before?
I've heard something like that, yeah.
So, right there, without even thinking about it, we've equated light skin to beauty, which we do. And so the locals, especially those who haven't been exposed to, over here, you go to class with white folk, Chinese folk, Indians, so it's not a big deal. You don't see them as superior. But there are folks in Ghana who do. And so when you see that, you need to address it in a very calm manner. I'll give you one example. One time I was walking into a restaurant. There was a security guy at the gate. Oh, he saluted me nicely. And I saluted him back, I greeted him back, and then he stood back, I opened my door, and I entered, right? Now, over my shoulder, about 3 or 4 steps away, there was a white couple coming. This same guy now greeted them, and then, opened the door for them. Now, does he know how much money I was going to spend in that restaurant? Does he know my wallet? Does he know my bank account? Does he even know who I am? But he automatically saw a fellow Ghanaian and said, oh, he can open it, so on the door. But a white couple coming in, he opens the door for him. So I came out and spoke to him about it in a very calm manner. He was so apologetic and he said, you know what, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure next time when that situation presents itself, he'll handle it differently. But that's what tells you that people do these things without even thinking about it. So it's a socialized thing, we have to work on it, but that's why others get some breaks that we don't even get in our own country.
Despite all that is going on in the world, especially with COVID and everything. I think a lot of people have had time to sit back at home, especially during the year 2020, and kind of reflect on a lot of self. Like, a lot of people are just looking back at themselves. I'm like, you know what, I just want a change. Now, I can't talk about people from the UK or anything, but I know a lot of African Americans in particular are coming to that term that, okay, you know, it's time for a change, because in America, systemic racism is a real thing. We go through it on a daily basis, similar to the story you just shared, almost unconsciously. We're consciously aware, but we just go through day to day, you know? So a lot of people look back to Africa, and ever since Ghana did open its doors since 2019, I'm seeing more of the African Americans relocating. The UK's, they've been doing it for some time, but I'm just seeing a little bit more African Americans, which is a great thing. It's a great thing, and Ghana obviously is very welcoming, very safe. Let me put that out there, very safe. And it's a good time to be in Ghana. Bridging the gap, let's get back to that a little bit, with all these issues, which can be as major or as minor as you want them to be, whether it's colorism, whether it's tribalism, whether it's social injustice. How is Ghana and the diaspora able to work together to be that future Africa that we envision?
Well, it starts with, for some of us, it comes very easy. I mean, my Pan-African education came at the age of 11. Since then, I haven't looked back. I see, as I mentioned, any African, you're a black skin, you're a brother, you're a sister. To sit down and look at another black person and say, you are my brother. I don't care what your grandma and your grandpa did. You are my brother. That's all there is to it. If we can't do that, then maybe we're not smart enough. I'm sorry. That's how important it is to me. We have the mind to do it. It's become fashionable. Oh, it's normal. No, it's not normal. We are able to do it. I should be able to look at the guy in Zambia, Malawi, and say, look, you are a brother. What do you want to do? What's so difficult about it? But because we're looking at history, which we can't change. Have you ever seen anybody who wrote? The only way you change history is to lie about it. You can't change what happened, but you can affect what happens in the future. So if you have this choice, you have this opportunity, are you going to dwell in the past rather than look in the future and say, how do we move forward together? So for me, I am completely convinced that we can get over all that nonsense. We've just gotten comfortable with it.
I really like that point of view. I actually do. And I'm sure that's what the Diaspora Network television is really all about.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to attend some of the lives and just seeing everybody from Ghana to Nigeria to Sierra Leone, all over the world. Yeah. Everyone just kind of had that same goal, like it's time for us to get together and unite. So definitely keep that going. We need that kind of spirit, guys. That's the spirit we need to keep going forward. So let's talk a little bit about the fun stuff.
Okay. I like fun stuff.
Of course.
Let me take a sip.
As you know, I can't wait to get to Ghana. But this is becoming a cost indeed, especially with the COVID rules in place. For someone like me that likes to go back home, dual citizenship is becoming a serious thing for a lot of those in the diaspora. So tell us a little bit about that. Of course, we can go do our own research. Make sure you go online and do your own research. But I do want to hear it from Mr. Nkrumah's point
Okay,
of view.
very
Because you
good.
mentioned it before.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for this opportunity. Look, according to Ghana's constitution, if you're born in Ghana or if you're born outside Ghana and your bloodline can be traced to Ghana, you're Ghanaian. You were born in Houston, Texas, to Ghanaian parents. Your birth certificate states that mother and your father, right? It's on the birth certificate. Good. You're Ghanaian. And so, even if you hold an American passport, fortunately, America recognizes dual citizenship. And so you can have American passport in your left hand, a Ghanaian passport in your right hand, and you will never need a visa to either of those two countries again, ever. How do I know this? One time I went to Ghana.
He's
And I
telling us
overstayed.
all.
I overstayed my visa. When I was coming at the airport, I'm going through immigration. They look at me and say, "Oh, you stayed more. Come with us." They took me to a room and hit me for $100. In fact, that day, so it's interesting. I think, yeah, that day, interestingly, I gave him I think it was 50 because I gave him a $100 bill. No, I took out a $100 bill, and he said, "Okay, let me go find change for you." So he went and got $50, right? And when he came, he put the $50 in my passport, stamped it, and said, "Okay, you're free to go." I said, "Really? I'm free to go?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, you didn't take $100 from me, and here's $100." And I gave it. I remember that very, very clearly. Okay. But you know what I did? I told him, I said, that wasn't, that $50 really pained me to. First of all, I hated the idea of taking a visa to my own country. And then to be hit with $50 at the airport. So I told myself, nah, I'm gonna do this dual citizenship thing on my next trip. So when I went to Ghana the next time, I went to Minister of Interior, said I want to purchase the dual citizenship form, and they sold it to me, along with all the deliverables, the items that I need to bring. Took it home. It took me about 3 months because I think some of my birth certificate was back in the States or something. So I filled out a form, came to America. The next time I came in, I had everything ready, along with my fee. I went to the Ministry of Interior, the same place I bought the form. And they said, "Sir, we got good news for you. You don't need to file it." I'm like, "Why?" Well, there was Asari versus Attorney General. It went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has ruled that once you're Ghanaian, you don't need to file for dual citizenship. So they took my birth certificate, they said, "This is your Ghanaian birth certificate. Take it to the passport office and get your passport." Now, if you don't have to, but if you want to do it, we'll be glad to take your money. So, thank you. Took my papers, took my birth certificate, went to passport office, processed my Ghanaian passport, and I've been using the two of them since. Okay? So you don't need to process the dual citizenship unless you want to. It's not.
Well, you're saying it with such authority.
Oh,
because
yes.
the very first time I heard, I was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, are you sure?" Let me go and look.
It was
at this.
just it's not hearsay. It was personal experience. So I know you don't have to do that.
So there, you gave us the scoop on dual citizenship. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole automatic citizenship right just now. We'll get into that another time.
What's automatic citizenship?
But, oh, you haven't heard? Hey, I have to school my uncle. So, African Americans inquiring about automatic citizenship,
Okay.
meaning you get to Ghana and automatically become a citizen. There's a belief that it should be gifted to them.
Well, now there is the sentimental argument, and then there is the real argument. The real argument is that no, that's not the case, because at the end of the day, you were born in a different country. and you want to become a citizen, a Ghanaian citizen, there is a process. But the sentimental argument that people push is that, look, if you truly want us to come, we're part of you, then that all this rhetoric that I just told you, that we're black, this and that, when we come in, we should get it. That's another story. But at the same time, you can't have a Nigerian also walk to Ghana or vice versa and say, hey, I'm an African, so give me a Nigerian passport. So always there's a process. But the good news is there are some developments that are going on. In these days, there's the DNA thing, 23andMe and all those things, right? Some countries are looking seriously, and some, don't quote me on that, but some of them have actually enacted the law whereby if you do your DNA, you're African American, and you do your DNA, and for example, it puts you at 23% Angola or something like that. I'm hearing that with that alone, you can go in and get that citizenship. It's being worked at the working stage, but it's coming. And that's the good news, because as we move forward, these things are going to become, you know, why would, if I'm born and raised in Wisconsin, never set foot outside the United States before, I do my DNA test and I'm 25% Ghanaian, maybe 3% Irish, this for Italy, whatever. I can take that 25% and say, hey, your constitution says the bloodline puts me here, right? So what is the process to go through to obtain the citizenship? I think that's a fair argument.
I think that's pretty fair too, because I haven't heard of automatic citizenship anywhere.
There's no such thing.
It's not done. So, I'm not going to keep you too long,
No problem.
But before you go, you do have to tell us the jangle.
Jangle?
I want you to share it on my channel.
You want me to do a jangle on your show?
I want you to do a jangle on
Oh
my
my goodness, you should have prepared me, because the jangle, all right, I got one for you. First and foremost, the jangle is Jermaine Sangle. That's all it means, Jermaine Sangle. But then it also, the actual meaning of the word jangle is a loud, distorted noise. You see what I'm saying? So I'm giving you the jangle. So in today's jangle, impromptu jangle, I want to talk about fix the country. You know, if I tell you that, hey, I think you should fix yourself, right? What have you been spending all your life doing? Just that, fixing yourself, right? You're constantly educating yourself. You're constantly making sure that you look good. You're improving yourself. It's an ongoing thing. So when I tell you fix yourself, by default, you're already doing that. So I haven't really asked you to do anything that you're not already doing. Every president, from Kwame Nkrumah to Nana Akufo-Addo, comes in and tries to fix the country. In fixing the country, there are going to be some shortfalls somewhere. Nana came into power, education, done, and all that. But when you look at law and order, you can say that there's been a, you know what I'm saying. So I would think that when people want to be real, they should be specific about the things that they expect the government to do. If I look at you, there's nothing to fix. You're a beautiful young lady and everything. But when you look at somebody, you can say, man, fix your teeth or fix your breath or whatever, right? Because that's the specific thing that's wrong with the person. But when you say fix yourself, have you ever seen a country that's fixed before? There's no country on the planet that's fixed. So in a sense, you're asking me to do something that, one, is impossible, or two, I'm already doing. And that's funny to put it that way, because when you say fix your country, America has been in existence for 40 something years, and they're still fixing the country. In fact, today they're talking about the government shutting down. If you have Ghanaians here, they'll say, oh my goodness, the government is going to shut down, fix the country. Every country has a problem that they're working on. So for me, the line fix the country is really not well carved out. If you look at the lot of good, and there's a lot of good things under this administration, I won't lie to you. The roads, the railway, I can tell you that since the time that the British colonized us until the time they handed over power to us in 1960, they laid 958 kilometers of rail lines, right? Since then, we haven't really done much. Mahama added 15 kilometers to it. Nanado, under this administration, they've signed contract to lay 1,500 kilometers of rail lines, which is ongoing. You see the videos out there. These are real lines, and these are international gauge. These are huge development that's going to take traffic between Kumasi and Accra Road, reduce it, because all those trucks are now going to go, they're not going to go by road. That's fixing the country. And so, does that mean that you'll ever finish fixing the country? No, you never finish
Ongoing.
Fixing a country is a vision. If you're asking a government to do something, you need to talk about missions, not vision. And the difference between a vision is where you want to go, what you see when you look further down. And mission is the vehicles that will take you there. So you would think that the fix the country convenience would rather look at specific areas where the government is lacking and push that instead. For me, that would be more credible, because fix the country is too generic, it doesn't make any sense, and it comes out as a political ploy. And for today, that's my job.
All right, and finally, 2 questions, but you can answer it in one go. I want you to tell us 3 things you love about Ghana since you've relocated, and 1 thing you don't like that you would change.
Well, guess what? 3 things I like. Number 1, that's home. I mean, I can't, nothing compares to that. Number 2, the fact that if you've lived in America before, where they have something called a glass ceiling, there are certain things that you see but you can never be, right? In Ghana, the president is black, the pilot is black, the teacher is black, the doctor is black, everybody who is anybody is black. Do you know what that does? It gives me a sense of confidence that there's nothing that I want to do that I can't do. You see what I'm saying? And many times we Africans, we bring that inherent confidence here, and it helps us. Many times, most people say we come here with a chip on our shoulder. No, it's not a chip on our shoulder. It's a belief that, hey, where I come from, anybody who is anybody is just like me, so I can be anybody. Now, until Obama came, there's no way if you ask a black child in America what you want to do, they will tell you, I want to be president, because they never saw that before. So that limitation is not in existence in Ghana. And then the third thing is, God, it's so relaxing and peaceful.
It is. I can definitely attest to that.
That's so peaceful and everything. In my neighborhood, I'm not saying go do it, but in my neighborhood, I have my midnight walks. I walk my neighborhood at night because that's all that I have time to do. I work a lot during the daytime. So yeah, that's the level of peace that I want. The part that I don't like,
if I tell you to give us 3, you
I'll give
continue
you 10,
to give us 10
but I'll
and
give
50,
you
so
1.
you just give us 3.
I'll give you 1, okay?
1, just give us 1, and then what you would do.
You know, and this is funny. I was driving from Silver Star in Accra to 37 in front of Golden Tulip, right? And this time, we're both sitting at the traffic light. There was no traffic. So the car took off and he's in front of me, and he has 1 tire on this side of the line and he's just taking two lanes. And it's a 3-lane So I followed him and said, maybe he's changing lanes. I followed him, he was just driving. So I pulled next to him and I said, I rolled down the window and said, hey, do you see those lines? So when I said that, I drove off. So I saw him speeding up. And so there was a traffic light at the total station before you get to 37. The light was red, I stopped. So he pulled next to me and he looked at me. And I looked back, he said, Adam, we a tailor now. He asked me, am I a tailor? That, because in his view, a tailor is the one who's supposed to drive. I just busted out laughing. But it's funny, but what that tells me, there are people who just don't get it. And when you try to correct them, they look at you as you're the abnormal one, not me. The guy is driving on the shoulder where cars are not supposed to drive. But when you try to correct him, you are the abnormal one. Because breaking the law has become normalized. That part I don't like. Fortunately, guess what? You say your mom told me something, right?
I heard something, so you can share it with me, and those watching. I would be glad to hear it.
Well, because of my passion for obeying the rules of the road, I submitted an idea to Jubilee House.
Okay.
Jubilee House is our White House, if you will. And so they gave me the assignment to be chairman of the governing board for Ghana Road Safety Authority.
That is great.
And guess what?
What?
Now I have the mandate to do something about what means the most to me. And so I'm serving notice. Please, those who think they can do anything on the road, your time is up.
Oh, wow.
Your time is up. We're going to put in the systems to make sure that we're not going to beat you, we're not going to smack you in the face, but we're going to make you pay out of your pocket so bad that nobody will tell you that obey the traffic rules. That's it.
All right. Mr. Nkrumah, you have been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You have been an amazing hostess as well.
Thank you so much. As you know, this is like one of my first interviews, but I'm so glad he was my first guest.
Wow. Thank you.
I hope one day we can swap.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
You get to.
Oh, no. It's done. You know what I did? When Maya came to interview me.
When you hear names like Wodemaya, you're like, what? Continue.
She came to DNT to interview me, right? I kept my mouth shut and everything. When he finished, he said, oh, thank you, Mr. Jamel. I said, thank you. Where do you think you're going? Oh, yeah, come. I'll put him in my studio. So that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Anyway, since he mentioned Wodemaya, shout out to Wodemaya. I mean, he's a big name in the diaspora community, showing the Africa you don't see. And once again, it's not just Wodemaya alone. A lot of diasporas going back home and showing us what we don't see. It's just giving this big push to where many are so interested. I won't say it's so much of the hype. The hype could play a role, but it's just time. It's just time. There are lots of African Americans, Africans, just black people all over the world wanting to connect with Africa, and this is the best time to do so. Until next time, it's not goodbye. Goodbyes. Be positive.